All right, John.
All right, welcome back. This is Two Beards in a Bible. I'm John Swano.
I'm Dave Tenney.
And we are, where are we? Luke 19?
Luke 19.
All right.
We kind of skipped ahead talking in the break here.
Right.
Where we were heading to. And
Right. Speaking about Zacchaeus.
Yes.
Here, I guess.
Well, actually, we got to go back to Matthew chapter 20.
Oh, okay.
We can't go straight to Zacchaeus.
Okay.
Because we got to finish Matthew chapter 20.
All righty. All right, where did we leave off there?
Verse 29.
Okay.
Just a few verses. You want to read that?
I'll read that. Now, as they went out of Jericho, a great multitude followed him. And behold, two blind men sitting by the road, when they had heard that Jesus was passing by, cried out, saying, "Have mercy on us, O Lord, Son of David." Then the multitude warned them that they should be quiet. But they cried out all the more, saying, "Have mercy on us, O Lord, Son of David." So Jesus stood still and called them and said, "What do you want me to do for you?" They said to him, "Lord, that our eyes may be opened." So Jesus had compassion and touched their eyes. And immediately their eyes received sight, and they followed him.
Okay. I had the first thing I noticed was they were in Jericho.
Oh, okay.
Wasn't those? That's the walls that came down, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, in Joshua chapter 6.
Mm-hmm.
That's when the people went around the city and they shouted.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I brought that up is in Joshua 6 and verse 26. So after they've knocked down the walls of Jericho and they trampled the city, it says Joshua charged them at that time, saying, "Cursed be the man before the Lord who rises up and builds this city Jericho. He shall lay its foundation with his firstborn, and with his youngest he shall set up its gates." And that was fulfilled in 1 Kings chapter 16.
Huh.
So if we go over there, this is called a detour, John.
Right.
1 Kings chapter.
I'm following you.
I think it was verse 21 or something. First thing. Happens. I gotta go back to Joshua and see where that note was. 1634. It says, so it talks about Baasha. Oh, no, 16. In the days of Hiel of Bethel, built Jericho. He laid its foundation with Abram his firstborn, and with his youngest son Segub he set up its gates, according to the word of the Lord, which he had spoken through Joshua the son of Nun. So
There you go.
there you go.
Nice.
Divine providence at work.
Very good.
There's our little Jericho side trip.
That's a good detour.
Yes. So that's where Jesus is at. Right there to bring us back to remembrance all of those things. There's a couple of blind fellas over there, and they're trying to get Jesus' attention, and people are trying to shut him up.
Yeah, be quiet. What are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. And then they get desperate.
Mm-hmm.
Then they're really yelling, and that's a good example for us, right?
Yeah. You know how many times in the life of a Christian are people going to say, "Would you just stop it?"
Yes.
Already? I mean, why do you have to do all these things? Live your life.
Yeah.
And that's when we should cry all the louder.
Yes, absolutely.
That'll preach.
And yes. So Jesus stops and he says, "What do you want me to do for you?"
Yeah.
And they say, "Well, we want our eyes open." So he has compassion. He touches their eyes; they're healed.
Yeah.
And they followed him.
Yeah. And I think we read some weeks ago where Jesus had made a mud paste out of spittle and dust and put it on somebody's eyes, and told them to go wash. Yes. And their eyes were opened. And here he just touched their eyes and they were open. So
yes.
He is Christ. He can do whatever he wants.
He can do it however he wants to.
Right.
Absolutely.
And each one of those whether we get it or not, each of those things that he does, there's a lesson in it. There's a meaning in it, and yeah. So here we have him opening the eyes of somebody, and it really, had to really drive it home for those people that were telling him to be quiet. That.
Oh yeah,
that was a humbling experience,
Yeah.
and they realized that they ought to have been the ones that were being quiet.
Yes, absolutely. Now let's go to Zacchaeus.
Okay, very good.
Luke chapter 19.
Yep.
If you want to
How
read,
far do we want to read before we stop?
let's see here. Well, just
I'm glad you're here to tell me how far to read and so on.
well, you're just gonna have to give me a second. You're in such a hurry. How about verse 10?
All right, first 10 verses. All right, then Jesus entered and passed through Jericho. Now behold, there was a man named Zacchaeus, who was a chief tax collector, and he was rich. And he sought to see who Jesus was, but could not because of the crowd, for he was of short stature. So he ran ahead and climbed up into a sycamore tree to see him, for he was going to pass that way. And when Jesus came to the place, he looked up and saw him and said to him, Zacchaeus, make haste and come down, for today I must stay at your house. So he made haste and came down and received him joyfully. But when they saw it, they all complained, saying, he has gone to be a guest with a man who is a sinner. Then Zacchaeus took and said to the Lord, look, Lord, I give half of my goods to the poor, and if I have taken anything from anyone by false accusation, I restore it fourfold. And Jesus said to him, today salvation has come to this house, because he also is a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man has come to seek and to save that which was lost.
Okay.
All right.
Now I know you got something good on this.
Well, on the way over here, this isn't horribly profound or anything.
Oh.
But on the way over here, I called my wife because I had remembered that when she used to teach Bible classes, there was a song that they would sing.
Oh yes.
And so we have Zacchaeus was a wee little man. A wee little man was he. Now, I don't know if we want to sing this.
I can't remember how the tune goes.
But anyway, yeah, neither do I. But anyway, so it's this just came to mind. So Zacchaeus was a wee little man was he. He climbed up in a sycamore tree for the Lord he wanted to see. And as the Savior passed that way, he looked up in the tree and said, Zacchaeus, you come down, for I'm going to your house today. So, it's something that we, maybe use for our children to help them remember the story and so on, even if I can't remember the tune.
Yeah, I can't either.
But anyways, whatever. But it's again, you have this man who, struggled to be able to see the Lord. He was waiting anxiously for him, and wouldn't you know it, Christ called upon him, and he calls upon those that are seeking him.
Yeah.
He calls for everybody, of course, and desires that all men come to the knowledge of the truth. But he knew that Zacchaeus was seeking after him, and what did he do when he came down out of the tree at the Lord's command? But he received him gladly. Yeah. And took him to his house.
I can't help but think that most wealthy people are not the kind of people who climb trees, right? That's not a thing typically, because it'd be beneath them to do something like that.
Right.
So I mean,
it's kind of funny to see Bill Gates in a tree.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, could you imagine Bill Gates climbing up in a tree? No.
Right.
No. So he'd hire somebody to carry him up there, Arnold Schwarzenegger to carry him up there. But anyways, I think that just shows it was so important that he did this thing that maybe somebody else might look down upon him, or it was not befitting for him to do, but he wanted to see Jesus.
And I don't know if it means anything, but it's written in the record here that he was of short stature.
Yeah.
So, he probably was one that would just disappear into the crowd.
Yeah.
And probably wasn't thought much about. But also, I can't help but think it was probably a little more difficult for him to get up in that tree than for most.
Probably, yeah.
You know, it took he had to struggle to do that. At least I would imagine so.
The whole thing just shows that this guy, this was important to him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's not worried about what people are thinking about him. He's got to struggle to get up in this thing. He don't care.
Right. And how, you know, people obviously making fun of him and so on, and it wouldn't be the most glorious place to be.
And how'd you like to be him? And here comes Jesus, and he knows your name.
Right. Yeah. Calls you out, and you know, on one hand, that would be exciting, and it would be humbling at the same time. You know, and you know, he says, "I'm going to go to your house today." You know, I mean, how would you react if somebody said, you know, let's say the president's coming through town and says, "Hey, you know, I'm going to stay at your house tonight."
That's fine.
You know, that might put.
I ain't got room for 90 Secret Service guys though.
There you go. Oh, in the garage.
I can give you a pistol. You're on your own.
That might put us in a little bit of a hurry, thinking, oh, you know, we got to straighten up. You know, to be able to give that hospitality right away. I mean, we should be able to. We should be willing to.
Yes.
But you know, there again, you know, him being put on the spot, and he follows through, and he received him joyfully.
Yeah, and the other thing is you also see the joy of Jesus in this, you know, because he says, if today salvation has come to this house, and he says, the Son of Man has come to seek and save that which was lost. He's excited about this. Jesus is as well. So I think like when we talk about Jesus living as a man, you know, this is an example of I think of one of the examples of joy.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
He experienced all the human emotions.
And we have the same old tired thing from the Jews. When they saw it, they all complained, saying, "He has gone to be a guest with a man who is a sinner."
Yeah.
You know,
Like they knew his heart.
We've seen that play out over and over again, and it's the same old complaint.
Yeah. And was Zacchaeus a sinner? He says, "Look, Lord, I give half my goods to the poor.
Mm-hmm.
And if I've taken anything from anyone by false accusation, I restore fourfold."
Mm-hmm.
This guy actually sounds pretty awesome.
Right. You know, pay your mortgage payment in fourfold.
That'd be a tall order.
Right.
Right. So, yeah, that's so classic parable, classic Bible story.
Yeah.
We teach it to kids, but there's a lot of adult lessons in there as well.
Absolutely.
You know. So we are going to now talk about the parable of the Minas. Is that how you say that?
Minas.
Minas. Yeah. The Minas, down in Kentucky. The coal Minas. No.
I get mine out of Pennsylvania.
Oh, do you? Oh, do you now? What is that? Is that anthracite coal that you use? Yes. Yeah. So John heats his house with coal. You know, if you live in a warm climate, you probably can't fathom that.
Right.
But here in Ohio, and I know this is being aired, in July, I believe, but right now we're recording it in January, and it's cold.
Yeah.
Super cold. So let's put our hearts to July.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and read. Well, good grief, what's going on out there? Oh, it's a there's a Nerf gun war going on in the next part of the house. We can see it, but we can't hear it. I'm going to read, I don't know, till 18.
All right.
It says, "Now as they heard these things, he spoke another parable, because he was near Jerusalem, because they thought the kingdom of God would appear immediately. Therefore he said, a certain nobleman went into a far country to receive for himself a kingdom and to return. So he called 10 of his servants, delivered to them 10 minas, and said to them, do business till I come. But his citizens hated him, and sent a delegation after him, saying, we will not have this man to reign over us. And so it was that when he returned, having received the kingdom, he then commanded those servants to whom he had given the money to be called to him, that he might know how much every man had gained by trading. And then came the first, saying, Master, your mina has earned 10 minas. And he said to him, Well done, good and faithful servant, because you were faithful in very little, you have authority over 10 cities. And the second came to him, saying, Master, your mina has earned 5 minas. Likewise, he said to him, You will also be over 5 cities. John, you pick it up.
Then another came, saying, Master, here is your mina, which I have kept and put away in a handkerchief, for I feared you, because you are an austere man. You collect what you did not deposit, and reap what you did not sow. And he said to him, Out of your own mouth I will judge you, you wicked servant. You knew that I was an austere man, collecting what I did not deposit, and reaping what I did not sow. Why then did you not put my money in the bank, that at my coming I might have collected it with interest? And then he said to those who stood by, Take the mina from him, and give it to him who has 10 minas. But they said to him, Master, he has 10 minas. For I say to you that to everyone who has will be given, and from him who does not have, even what he has will be taken away from him. But bring here those enemies of mine who did not want me to reign over them, and slay them before me.
Okay, so he's kind of talking about the kingdom of heaven here.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, there's these like themes of judgment, and these themes of doing, of being responsible with the things that we were given.
Mm-hmm.
I think those are kind of the ideas in here.
Right.
So he speaks this parable when he gets near Jerusalem. He says, because they thought the kingdom of God would appear immediately. It seems like they think, oh, he's going to go into Jerusalem and throw the Romans out right now.
Right.
And that's not
right
what he was doing. And it's just, we pointed this out before, but you know, the Jews thought that the kingdom of God was going to be a physical, earthly kingdom.
Right.
And it was going to be a spiritual kingdom, and they didn't understand that.
Yeah, and it's hard as human beings to get our minds out of the here and the now and the physical.
Yeah, absolutely. Easier for us, I think, because we have God's complete revealed word.
Right.
And they didn't.
Right.
So, how much is a mina worth?
Well, as we were Googling, leading up to this, as far as I can tell, $2.60 in today's money. So it wasn't a lot.
Yeah.
But, nonetheless, you see there that the lesson being that whatever you've been given, that you should work with it. And
even if it's just a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, just speaking of money, it doesn't take much to make some, and I remember sitting with an investment advisor with my parents years ago, and the guy leaned over the desk, and the small town I grew up in, he said, "You would be surprised how many little old ladies in this town, that probably eat cat food for dinner are millionaires, because they have been good with their money and they've put away a little bit of money at a time." And so, a lot of times, now switching to spiritual, we think that we need to do something great, and I can't do anything because I'm not able to speak. I can't talk to people.
I can't lead singing. I can't lead a prayer.
Right.
I can't do this. I can't do that.
Well, you can do something.
I was like, well, you could clean the building. No, I can't do that. Wait a second.
Right. And things like that, you really can do them unto the Lord. And whatever the service may be, I'm thankful for those that are able to keep up with the hospitality of others and so on. And I know that you and I have both been on the receiving end of a lot of hospitality of the brethren, and there's even there are those I know at Medina, and I'm sure at Worcester and all the different congregations around us. There are those that take it upon themselves to send cards regularly and keep on top of reminding others that we're thinking of.
Yeah.
It's And that's something that personally is difficult for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I've just never been a card writer, but
Yeah.
I should be. But I'm thankful for those people that do those things, because it really does make a difference.
One of the things now we attend actually two different congregations. We are members at a congregation in Worcester, but they really don't have any kids, an older congregation, and we go on Wednesday nights to this other congregation. So we end up, Joy and I, we clean both buildings.
Oh.
We do cleaning for both buildings. And when I was younger, a younger Christian, and we would clean, and it would make me mad because other people weren't doing it.
Right.
But in the last few years, I've realized that doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
Because I'm not doing it for other people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing it, it's something I'm doing, and whether other people do it or not is not my problem. It's me, it's my service to do these things.
It goes back to the parable of the vineyard workers,
Yes.
Keeping your eyes on your own work.
Yeah.
And who knows, one of the things that I always try to keep focused on is, maybe it's not within the ability of a person to do something. Maybe they can't do that, or maybe that's not something that they're prepared to do yet,
Or maybe they think they know that they should do it and they decide not to.
and it could be.
But that's on them.
Right.
In the end, it's not on me, and it's not my end of the stick to whittle on, right?
Right. I mean, the thing that we can do is to be encouraging.
Yeah.
And help if we see that there's an area that we could help them.
Yeah.
Then maybe someday they will grow to be strong and.
I think you do the thing that's right to be a good example to
Mm-hmm.
others, and you hope that eventually maybe they'll say, "Oh, maybe we should do this or whatever,"
Mm-hmm.
or maybe we shouldn't participate in this thing because somebody,
Right.
So, it's our opportunity to be a good example.
Mm-hmm.
Getting back to this parable here, so how long are we?
This way.
Oh, we're at 22 minutes or something like that.
Yep, 22.
I think we can get through this.
Right.
So it talks about this certain nobleman, and I don't know. Do you think the nobleman is Christ?
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, I think so too. So this certain nobleman, he goes into a far country, and he's going to get himself a kingdom. He's going to receive a kingdom, and he has servants, which I would take it to mean he's talking about the Jews here, and he gives them some things to be responsible for,
Right.
and some of them are responsible for those things, and some of them aren't. And when he comes back, he takes account. Now, there's another parable that's very similar to this.
Right.
It'd be the parable of the talents, I believe.
Yeah.
It is a very similar meaning. So the one guy turns 1 mina into 10, and he's given a certain amount of responsibility, and the other one gives he takes 5 and he makes 5, and I think that the thing he's pointing out is that you don't have to do. Not everybody's gonna do as good as everybody else, but everybody's got to do something.
Right. Yeah, and just thinking, in a business, let's say you own a business and there are several locations, and you've got a manager that's able to manage, 2 locations really, really well, and that location is making money hand over fist, and you need to open another location, and you're going to send that guy out there to do his magic there as well.
Yeah.
And it all lines up here. We're speaking spiritually when
Yeah.
it comes to, the parable here, but it just makes sense if you just think about it that way. That why wouldn't God do just what He's talking about there with the spiritual thing?
Yeah. So then he's got this guy who he was given a responsibility, and he hides it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so in the parable of the talents, he hides his talent, and a lot of times preachers use that to talk about your talents, which actually kind of bugs me because that's not what he's talking about. He's talking about, but you know, this idea of you were given this responsibility and you shirked it.
Right.
And I think that's, even in the parable of the talents, I think that's personally a better way of looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
Because when people start talking about talents and they start using the English definition of, you know, oh, I'm a skillful wood carver.
Right.
This is my talent. That's not what he's talking about.
Right.
He's talking about responsibilities.
Right.
And this is the same way.
Yeah, you know, and as Christians, you know, we each have those things which we can do, and that's exactly what we should build upon that. You know, and if we are able to do something, then let's grow with that, and let's continue to help broaden the borders of the kingdom. And that's what the Lord is obviously desiring.
The one thing, and this is not a talent, it's the responsibility of all Christians to talk to others about Jesus.
Yeah.
That is not a talent, that's a responsibility
Right.
of every single Christian.
Right.
It's not the preacher's job.
Right.
I mean, it's one of his jobs, but it's the same as it is for everybody else.
Right. Yeah, and that, you know, the preacher is no different than anybody else sitting in the pews. You know, they're a servant just the same way, and that's another whole tangent about how the world looks at the preacher and thinks that they're in charge or something.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
But,
exactly.
You know, we've been given our minds. We've been given a space between our ears that our job is to fill it with the knowledge of the Lord, and so that's one way. That, you know, if we stick our head in the sand and we don't do anything with what we've been given, whether it be the Word, whether it be our mind, you know, that those things are going to be frowned upon in the day of judgment.
And I think that's why, you know, this one servant who was given a responsibility and he was given a resource and he didn't do anything with it. He was judged. I don't want to say poorly. He was condemned.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think it's the same. You know, he's just making a point. That's the same way with us.
Yeah.
You know, we gotta get out there and do everything we can.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
I think we're about done.
All right.
I don't know what.
Yeah. We
28 minutes.
Probably don't want to jump into the next one.
No.
All right. Well, thanks again for joining in with us. We hope that it's been edifying. Hopefully that you found it to be interesting. And if you see fit to come back and join us again, you know, like and subscribe.
We'd
Tell
love
your
to have
friends
you.
and all that. Yeah. And if you have questions, send them our way.
Yep.
Until next time.
Thanks. Come on.